Hello, it's a few hours before the game, so I'm walking the streets of Manchester, which, by the way, lots of work's being done around the streets of Manchester, but I must say it's getting more and more exciting. Restaurants, I recommend you Iberica, by the way, the Spanish one, for me the best Spanish restaurant in the UK, and music bars and all kinds. I do love Manchester, and I lived in Liverpool for 10 years. And it was a heresy to actually say that, but I must say that I actually enjoy as much Manchester as I do Liverpool these days. Anyway, I thought I'll have a filter a lot of the reading I've done on the game, on tonight's game, but I thought about it, conversations I had with people, a lot of things. We're at that stage of the day where all that information is in the head, and as I said, needs to be filtered and start thinking, all right, what have we learned from the first leg? What is it to be done in the second one, or what is expected for the second one? And that's where I am. So I thought I'll do that kind of filtering with you. I'll tell you. Oh, noisy over there. Change direction. First thing to say is that what Manchester City have to do today has not been done since the 80s. 86, I think it was. Barcelona turned a similar deficit around against Göteborg. By the way, thanks to Mr. Chip on Twitter, I found out that on that day, Pep Guardiola was the ball boy, one of the ball boys of Barcelona. There's a famous picture, of course, which I forgot that correspond to that game, in which Pep Guardiola was after a hug or something of Terry Venables at the end of that turnaround historical day at the Camp Nou. And that's the other thing to say, that at the Etihad, in European nights, in the Champions League, in the European Cup, the fans have not lived a day like this, in which a turnaround will be remembered forever. And that's what where Manchester City are at the moment, creating a history of the club in European competitions at the elite tournament. Hence, I feel that's why Pep Guardiola keeps talking about, well, you know, if we go through, it'll be the second semi-final in history, and we did learn from things like beating Barcelona last season in the group stage, was it? After, in the first leg of that group stage, Barcelona losing 4-0 at the Camp Nou. But it was 1-0, and this is what's important, that game. It was 1-0 before Claudio Bravo got sent off, and City had chances but did not take advantage of them. And similar situation in a way to what happened against Manchester United this weekend, and similar situation where that we've seen a few times, not many, but few times in Pep Guardiola's teams. For instance, Bayern Munich against Barcelona, in which Bayern Munich for 77 minutes had control of the game, but they ended up being beaten by Barcelona 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. So he was asked at the end of the Manchester United press conference after the Manchester United game why he thought that these things happen, and sometimes when they teams concede one, they ended up conceding three. And he said that he was thinking about it and he wasn't sure. I'm sure he knows why sometimes control escapes him. Not very often, but when it happens, why that is. And I think he gave a couple of clues. One being that the team is very young, which means that they're not used to the emotional roller coaster of elite games, of the key games of the season. And two, by the way, the squad is young because that's what he prefers to have, a squad that he can mould to his style. And it's easier to do that than with veterans, to be honest. And two, of course, if you demand the team to attack, they continue attacking, even when perhaps they shouldn't, or perhaps they should approach the game in a different way. So those things count. But there is another analysis that's been done from what's happened in the last couple of games of Manchester City, the defeat against Liverpool and the defeat against Manchester United. accident, mostly. Individual mistakes, of course, cost them very dear in the Liverpool game, and it's difficult to actually, as a manager, to correct that during a game when you've got the likes of Otamendi losing possession on the build-up of the first goal of Liverpool, or when you've got Gundogan not going strong enough in a 50-50 and losing it as well, not being strong enough. And there was also, of course, Mane, who jumped more than combined for the third goal. So a lot of things that are individual mistakes, but collectively, the analysis that the coach has to do is how did it work, and certainly against Manchester United there were enough chances to win the game. Everybody knows that, so fine. And against Liverpool, perhaps lacked depth, and he wanted to control the game. Hence, Gundogan in the team, a forward midfielder. But playing Liverpool and Klopp in general, who is chaos versus order, as I described it after the first leg. What do you do with chaos? How do you control chaos? Very difficult, because it's like a car without brakes going down a hill, and you're trying to hold it. You're trying to hold it with your hands, and it's difficult, very, very difficult. Unless, of course, you join in the ride. You actually go down in the hill without brakes either, and then it becomes like a boxing match where it's whoever hits first or whoever hits hardest, and perhaps that's not the preferred choice of Pep Guardiola. But in a way, I wonder if there is many other ways to stop Klopp, because I know Liverpool fans get upset about this when you say that they play direct. They did play direct against City, because that's the way to do it, the way to actually unsettle City, to try to take advantage of the space they leave in behind, and that meant long balls sometimes. Yes, long passes they call it now, if you don't want to be called a long ball team. But against City there was loads of the long passes, because yes, that's the way to unsettle City, and to avoid the pressure high of City. A couple of things are actually crucial. So that's what Liverpool did, and when that happens, it's more difficult to control, because the ball goes one way very quickly, and then it's whoever wins that aerial battle, or that 50-50. And certainly, and Anfield helped, Liverpool had an extra gear in terms of aggression and in terms of wanting that ball. That has to change, and the Etihad has got a role to play. It will be an important game for fans as well, because, sorry about the noise, I'll go back, because Etihad has to help the players. They definitely have to help the players. Football is a state of the mind, and right now Liverpool feel a little bit, City feel a little bit uneasy after two defeats by 3 goals each, which has never ever happened in the career of Pep Guardiola. So another thing to consider. As I said, the analysis inside the camp is: do we create enough chances? Against United, yes. Against Liverpool, no. So how do we create more chances? And it is a little bit about continuously being brave, go 1v1 as often as possible, keep players wide. So perhaps Sterling has got a role to play here, and take advantage of the chances. In terms of being effective, Kun Agüero has shown this season that he can be that man for them, but mostly the hand of the coach is about what do we do collectively, and do we do it well enough. For 99% of the season for City, I think yes, they can do it well enough, but they missed against Liverpool an opportunity to leave the tie closer for the second leg. Again, the analysis inside is that up till the second goal of Liverpool, things were done properly, but why those control escapes after the first or second goal conceded? And that's perhaps that experience, that youth that we were talking earlier, and the style of the team that is impossible to change. So those are the things that I can think of when I think of the game. It has helped me to put them here, because now I have to be even sharper and more concise when I speak for Viasat Norway from the pitch, when I do an Instagram live for some of you later on from the pitch as well, and then when I write my article for AS on the game. Those are the things that I'll be doing today. A little bit of radio too, Spanish radio, COPE, C-O-P-E, for those that are interested in Spanish though. And before that, I'm gonna go for a physio massage because my back is killing me, and then a little bit of a rest before I go to the Etihad. So, big day ahead. I'll speak to you later. Bye.